You already know what a cassowary looks like. You've seen the photos, maybe, of a strange, almost decorative bird. Deep black feathers, a vivid blue and red neck, a strange bony crest on top of its head like something out of a fantasy illustration. It looks ornamental, almost like a costume. Like, you think you understand them. A big, flightless bird? Striking to look at, sure, but ultimately just an oversized chicken with better coloring. That impression is exactly why wildlife agencies in Australia and Papua New Guinea have spent decades trying to correct it, often after it was already too late for someone. Because here's what most people are never told. The cassowary is widely regarded by ornithologists and wildlife safety researchers as the most dangerous bird alive today. Equipped with a weapon most people never notice until it's already in motion, fast enough to outrun a person, and responsible for confirmed human deaths in documented, well-investigated cases. It is not a decorative oddity standing at the edge of the rainforest. It is, by the numbers, one of the most physically dangerous animals a person can encounter in that part of the world. To understand why, you need to look past the colorful neck and the strange crest and go straight to the legs. Cassowaries stand up to 1.8 meters tall and can weigh as much as 60 kilograms, with powerful legs built for both speed and force. They can run at speeds of up to 50 kilometers per hour through dense rainforest terrain, fast enough to outrun an adult human in open ground, and capable of jumping vertically over 1.5 meters when needed. But speed isn't the weapon. The weapon is on the foot itself. Each cassowary foot carries 3 toes, and the innermost toe is tipped with a dagger-like claw that can reach roughly 10 to 12 centimeters in length, comparable to a large knife blade. Unlike most birds, which use their feet primarily for walking and perching, the cassowary has evolved that inner claw specifically as an offensive weapon, and it delivers kicks with enough force, aimed correctly, to cause severe lacerations, puncture wounds, and in the most serious documented cases, fatal internal injuries. Wildlife researchers studying cassowary anatomy have specifically flagged this combination: speed, jumping ability, and a foot weapon sharp enough to be genuinely compared to a blade, as the reason the species occupies a category almost no other bird shares. The behavior behind that weapon is what turns the anatomy into a real, documented danger rather than simply a curiosity. Cassowaries are generally shy and avoid human contact under normal circumstances. But wildlife safety researchers in Queensland, Australia, where the southern cassowaries range, overlaps significantly with rural and semi-rural human communities, have documented a consistent pattern in the encounters that do turn dangerous. Cassowaries that have become habituated to humans, particularly through hand feeding, lose their natural wariness and can become aggressive when they associate people directly with food, sometimes attacking when food isn't immediately provided, or when they perceive a person as competing for it. A landmark academic study published in 2003 examined 221 documented cassowary attacks across Queensland and found that the majority involved birds that had been fed by humans in the past, directly linking habituation to the danger itself. The same study found that a significant share of recorded attacks involved the bird charging and delivering kicks, with documented injuries ranging from deep puncture wounds to severe lacerations requiring hospital treatment. This is the part that should genuinely change how you think about feeding wildlife casually. The cassowary's danger isn't primarily about wild, defensive aggression in the forest. It's about an animal that, once it stops fearing humans, has the physical tools to make any subsequent disagreement extremely one-sided. The most well-documented and frequently cited human fatality attributed to a cassowary occurred in Florida in 2019. Not in the wild, but on a private farm, where the bird in question was a captive southern cassowary kept by its owner. According to official reports, the bird attacked and killed its owner, a 75-year-old man, after he reportedly fell near the animal's enclosure. Medical examiners attributed the death to injuries consistent with the cassowary's known capability: lacerations from the bird's claws. This case is frequently cited specifically because it was investigated and documented through an official medical examiner's process, giving researchers a confirmed, verified data point rather than an anecdotal account. It also illustrates something important about cassowary danger broadly. Even a captive bird, raised and kept by a familiar owner, retains the full physical capability of a wild one. Familiarity does not remove the weapon. It only changes how predictable the bird's behavior might be around that specific person, day to day, right up until a moment when it isn't. Historical accounts dating back to the early 20th century in Australia also describe at least one earlier confirmed human fatality from a cassowary attack, involving a teenager who was kicked after attempting to kill the bird with a club. A case frequently referenced in wildlife safety literature as an early documented example of the same mechanism: a cassowary delivering a defensive or retaliatory kick capable of inflicting a fatal wound. What makes the cassowary particularly worth taking seriously compared to many other animals on a list like this is how easily it blends into a landscape that looks completely safe. Cassowaries inhabit dense tropical rainforest in northeastern Australia, New Guinea, and several surrounding islands. Exactly the kind of lush, photogenic environment that draws hikers, birdwatchers, and tourists specifically because it looks untouched and benign. The bird's dark plumage allows it to blend remarkably well into shaded undergrowth, and its naturally cautious behavior means many people walk through cassowary habitat their entire lives without a single dangerous encounter. Australian wildlife agencies operating in cassowary range have responded to this exact gap between perception and risk with specific, consistent public safety guidance. Never approach or feed a cassowary, never attempt to corner or threaten one, and if a cassowary displays aggressive posturing, fluffing its feathers, lowering its head, and facing a person directly, the recommended response is to back away slowly while keeping an object, even a backpack, between yourself and the bird's legs specifically, since the legs are where the actual danger originates. This is strikingly different advice from what's given for almost any mammal-based threat, and it underscores how specific and unusual the cassowary's danger profile really is. The entire risk is concentrated in a single anatomical feature, on an animal that, from any other angle, looks almost entirely ornamental. Mike, there are 3 recognized cassowary species: the southern cassowary, the dwarf cassowary, and the northern cassowary, found across Australia, New Guinea, and nearby islands, with the southern cassowary being both the largest and the one most responsible for documented attacks on humans, largely due to its proximity to populated areas in Queensland. Conservation status varies by species and region, but cassowary populations in parts of Australia have faced real pressure from habitat loss, vehicle strikes, and dog attacks, meaning the same bird capable of seriously injuring a person is, across much of its range, also a genuinely threatened animal requiring active conservation effort. Attention wildlife agencies have had to navigate carefully in their public messaging. Here is what is true and what the documented evidence actually supports. The cassowary is not an aggressive predator hunting humans by nature. The overwhelming majority of cassowaries across the overwhelming majority of encounters will avoid a person entirely given the chance. Most people who live, hike, or work in cassowary territory their whole lives never experience an attack. But this is also a bird carrying a foot weapon researchers have directly compared to a blade, capable of running faster than the people sharing its forest, and with a confirmed medically documented human fatality on record from as recently as 2019. The danger isn't hypothetical or exaggerated for effect. It's specific, well-studied, and concentrated almost entirely in what happens in the few seconds after a cassowary decides, for reasons ranging from habituation to simple territorial defense, that the situation calls for a kick. We built our image of dangerous animals around teeth and claws on four legs. The cassowary standing upright in a rainforest, carrying its actual weapon on a single-bladed toe, was never the animal we were picturing. It should have been,